Hi, and welcome to Budget with Tiffany. My name is Tiffany, and I'm so excited to have you here. Today, I'm going to be doing my budget with me for the month of March. But before we do that, I want to do a quick check-in for how things went for February, which was my first month of my YouTube channel and doing the cash stuffing on YouTube, I guess. So our income for the technically for the month of January, this is the income that we earned in January that we put towards our expenses in February. My husband gets paid from his 9-to-5 job, as an attorney. He gets paid twice a month, and then my full-time job, I get paid bi-weekly. And then our side hustle, we also get paid bi-weekly. So we've just over time have found it easier to, put aside all the money that we earn during the month and then budget that money for the next month rather than budgeting paycheck to paycheck. It also came about a long time ago, a job that I used to have. I got paid once a month on the last day of the month. So I kind of just got used to budgeting with the previous month's income. So just continued to do that since then. So we had just $9,866.71 that we earned in January. And then we had our budgeted expenses. We had our mortgage of $1,700, biannual maintenance of $20, $60 for our cell phone, $66 for internet, subscription was $40, $282 for my remaining student loans. And then my husband doesn't want to cash stuff his kind of general day-to-day expenses, so he we just set aside $400 in a bank account for him. So that came out to be that we budgeted $2,568 from our income. Our actual expenses, we did end up putting $1,950 towards our mortgage. That was the $1,700 that we had budgeted, plus an additional $250 that we had saved up through a savings challenge that we completed during the month. So that was an additional $250 that we were able to put. Biannual maintenance was $1,995. Cell phone, internet were both the same as the budgeted amount. Our subscriptions, which is currently Hulu, Netflix, and Spotify, went to $38.12 for the month. Student loans, we just went ahead and rounded it up to $282 even. And then my husband ended up spending about $395.98 of his allotted $400. So we had a little bit left over. So although it kind of looks like we went over budget, really 250 of that came from savings challenges. So we were in line with our overall budget. And then the only other thing I was going to touch on is our current debt balances. So at the beginning of the month, our mortgage was $185,137.46. And with that payment of $1,950 after accounting for interest, our new balance is $183,000 or $183,688.87. And then my student loans are the starting balance was $25,750.12. We paid $282. So after accounting for interest, our new balance is $25,501.01. So we're making progress. Every little bit helps. So now what I'll do is I'm going to start on our March budget. The first thing I will do is I will go ahead and write down our starting balances. And then for our, let me just make sure we are good. Yes, okay. I'm gonna put these up a little bit further. So for our income, my income for the month was $4,877.98. DJ's income as an attorney was $2,871.40. He's in between seasons officially. He does some off-season weightlifting during the winter months, but doesn't get paid for that. So currently no coaching income. From our part-time side hustle, we got paid $849.33. Keep the change. So basically, whenever either something that we charge on our credit card or something that comes out of our bank account, we put the amount budgeted as even dollar expense. But obviously majority of our expenses, you know, if you go to the store or something, it's not going to be exactly $1 and no change. So if something that we charge on our credit card is, you know, 52 cents, you know, $10.52, we will take out $11 from what we've cash stuffed, and then we'll roll that 48 cents into the keep the change. And I just keep track of that, and you need a budget. And so probably like once a quarter, I will bring the keep the change back into the budget to be allocated to savings. So most likely at the end of March, for our April budget, I'll bring in all the change that we've managed to set aside from where we've rounded up for our spending. And then for other, these are things like interest that we accrued in our bank accounts. We do have a high yield savings account for our savings, so things like that. I got a small check from a class action lawsuit. It was like $5.33 or something. And then my mother-in-law, she gave us $50 to put towards Valentine's Day, with going out to dinner or something, which we didn't end up getting a chance to do. So I'm just ended up putting it towards this month. And then for our upcoming trip in March, she gave us $100 to help, you know, just have some fun while we're on our trip. It was greatly appreciated, unexpected. So our total income for the month of February was $8,853.27. So for our monthly expenses that we won't be taking out of the bank, they'll just be auto drafted. We've got $1,700 for our mortgage that we pay automatically every month, $20 for our biannual maintenance, $60 for our cell phone. We're gonna do, we have like a monthly auto draft for a donation that we make to our local PBS. So I'm just gonna keep that in the bank and have that auto drafted out. We set up a new plan through Xfinity for our internet, so we got a credit for the price difference of what we'd paid, but then, you know, to the different amount. So this month we only owe $28 for our internet. Next month it'll go back to like more like $50-$60. Subscriptions we put 40. My student loans, the monthly amount due, because I changed to a different income-based repayment plan, went up to like $337 and some odd cents. So I've just rounded it up and told them to take $350. I don't care about paying it down too much faster, but a little bit extra. And then unlike last month, this month we're just going to keep our utility money in the bank and have that just be paid out rather than cash stuffing it. So it's $270 this month. And then we've got DJ getting his $400, and I have it added up on the side, but I'm just gonna double check. So that's $2,888, and when we take $8,853, we're not gonna use the pennies here. Subtract out the monthly expenses or monthly bills. We're left with $5,965. We're gonna come back to the savings page. And then for date night, so for the rest of my expenses, because we get paid monthly, or we're budgeting monthly, but then cash stuffing weekly, I did kind of do a breakdown, and then I don't really want to do a full cash stuffing for months where there's 5 weeks. I'm just going to cash stuff an additional week's allowance or monthly amount or weekly amount for a few items that, you know, are really kind of affected by there being a 5th week, like groceries or my food if I want to eat out while I'm at work. So in those weeks, I'll just cash stuff the 5th week with week 4, but know that it's technically allocated for week 5. So for our purposes, going to do $120 for date night, doing $150 for eating out, $40 for gas, $300 for groceries. Normally we do $75 a week for groceries, but because we do have our trip this month, and we won't need to buy groceries for that week, just going to bypass saving that extra, or setting aside that extra $75. For household, we're gonna do $40. Same thing for my food. I'm normally do $15 a week, but because the 1 week I won't need to eat out at work, I'm not gonna account for that. Pet care, we've got $100. Spending $80. Toiletries is $40, and buffer is $20. So that comes out to be $950. And then I think I'll just hold off for that for the second and then just continue on. So for annual fees, I'm gonna do $56 this month. Car insurance, $110. Car registration, $28. Christmas, we're gonna do $10. Drops is gonna be $15. Gifts will be $40. Gutters will be $22. Hair will be $23. Home insurance, $185. Still good on our massage, so I don't need to do anything this month. $275 for property taxes, and I'm gonna do $25 for yoga. That's going to be $789 for our annual expenses. Okay. So before I change to the next page, what I'm going to do is just quickly fill out the breakdown for the week. I will kind of fast forward through this, but basically I'm just going to take the monthly amount, and some weeks it'll be evenly distributed across all of them. Some I'll kind of do a little bit extra depending on circumstances, and also to help minimize the number of ones that I have to actually use. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill this out and kind of fast forward through when I do the editing. Okay, so I went ahead and completed. So basically, unless something comes up that changes something, that this is pretty much what my cash stuffing will look like for my variable expenses and annual expenses in the first week or each week throughout the month of March. So next we're gonna look at my sinking funds. So again, kind of write down the monthly amount. So $100 for car maintenance, $40 for clothing. We're gonna do 10 for health, 100 for home maintenance, $50 for home miscellaneous. Home projects is gonna be 500. Opportunities, 100. 40 for outdoors, 100 for roof. Shop small, it's gonna be 40. Tattoo is 25. Technology is 40. Travel is 500. And vet is 100. So let me just check. Oh, and then I did actually add in one additional category. My husband asked me if I could add this in last night, or we talked about it last night. So I was able to add it into the budget, but I didn't reprint my budgeting form. So we're gonna do, he likes to sometimes be able to buy food and stuff for the kids that he coaches. Sometimes it's just like the graduating seniors at the end of the season. He'll treat them to dinner, or you know, like actually last night he decided to buy some tacos for several of the kids that he's going to be coaching in the spring season. And oftentimes he would pull that money out of his $400, but then, you know, he might end up not being able to pay for something else, or we'd have to pull money from other places to pay for his normal monthly expenses and stuff. So we decided just to add in a coaching sinking fund that can help pay for things like buying food. So for right now, we're gonna do $20. And so let me add this up. That comes out to be $1,765. And again, I'm gonna just quickly fill in the weekly breakdown. So got that done, and then probably could guess that for the first week of March is when we don't have the groceries and the My Food, so that means by default that is when we are doing our trip. So I'm filming this on Friday, March 1st, and we are leaving tomorrow morning, Saturday the 2nd, to catch the train from St. Paul to Chicago, and then we'll stay in Chicago for the night. And then on Sunday, we will be picking up the train in Chicago to do a 52-hour train ride from Chicago out to San Francisco. And right now we're hoping that the blizzard that's currently hitting the Sierra Nevada won't impact our trip. I think that the storm is supposed to go from like Thursday through Saturday. So we're hoping that by the time, you know, we would be hitting that area on Tuesday, that everything's been cleaned up, and, you know, and since the priority kind of out in the West is the commercial trains, you know, I feel like they'll probably get the snow cleared from the train tracks pretty quickly. But again, I know I mentioned this in my last video, if you're in the area that's getting hit by this blizzard, where I think they're calling for potentially up to like 10 to 12 feet of snow to happen over like a 2-day period between Thursday and Saturday. I hope, obviously, since this will be after that all happens, I hope everybody's fine, that you had no damage to your house, that you're not still snowed in, and that you're doing just great. So I've thankfully never had that much snow in all of my life at one time, but I've definitely been in a blizzard before, and glad I don't have to deal with that much snow all at one time. So now that we've done our monthly breakdown for variable expenses, our annual expenses, and our sinking funds, now we can actually figure out how much we have left to spend for our savings challenges and general savings. So we had $5,965 remaining after we budgeted our monthly bills. So we're going to take out the $950 for our variable expenses, $789 from our annual expense. Oops, let me try that again. 5,965 minus 950 minus 789 minus 1,765 from our sinking funds. So that leaves us $2,461 to put towards savings. And of that, we aren't doing anything for our emergency fund because we've got that fully funded. We are going to start stuffing for our new car. For our Roth IRAs, at this point in time, I've kind of figured out what I think it'll be. It might fluctuate depending on what kind of happens with the rest. Our 100 envelope challenge, we're not going to know the final amount because it is going to be dependent on what happens with some other things. But for the first week, we're going to stuff $10. For our Friday challenge, we've got, do happen to know the amounts for that, so that is going to come out to be $75. Our scratch and save, we don't know exactly how much it'll be yet. I do know that I'll have to do $100 for week 1, but then we'll scratch for the rest. And since it's going to be $500 total that we'll do over the course of 2 months, I can't even predict what it'll end up being for the first month. Our 52-week challenge, we are just going to do $3 for the first week. And again, the rest of the weeks will be kind of based on depending on what we scratch in the scratch and save and how everything breaks down. The monthly challenge, I don't always intend to stuff it during the month, or at least every week with actual earnings, the income. I try to use it for money that we have left over, but since this month we are, or this particular week, we have the grocery money and the my food money that we aren't going to be stuffing because we are going to be on our trip. So I took that $75 from groceries and $15 from my food. So that's $90 that I'll go ahead and stuff. And then for mini Mondays, I'm going to start doing those this month. And because we're going to be on vacation the first week, I'm not going to have a chance to film that first week. So I'm not going to technically put anything there. But what I'm going to do is take the $50 that I would have normally done for the mini Mondays on week 1. I'm going to roll that into week 2. So I'll have $100 to get a nice jump start. And then I'll do $50 for week 3, and then for Weeks 4 and 5, I will actually film 2 separate videos for that. So I'm gonna allot $50 for each week. So again, the rest of the amounts will get filled in throughout the course of the month as I scratch and save and can figure out how much will be done. But we can verify that we have a zero-based budget. So we've got the $8,853 minus the $2,888 from our monthly bills. So that's $5,965 minus $2,461 from our savings, leaving $3,504 minus $950 from our variable expenses, leaving us $2,554 minus $789 from our annual expenses, leaves us $1,765 left. And then thankfully our sinking funds is $1,765, so that leaves us with $0. So yeah, so that is my first budget with me. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear, if there's anything you want me to explain more. Either I can answer them in the comments, or in my next budget with me, I can try to answer any of your questions, or if it's something that would be prudent to answer in another video, I can do that as well. But with that said, I thank you so much for watching today, and I hope that you will like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye.